वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 8, text number 27. Namaha
नमः
Akinchana
अकिंचना
Vittaya.
वित्ताय।
Namo Akinchana Vittaya
नमो अकिंचन वित्ताय।
Nivritta
निवृत्ता
Guna
गुणा
Vrittaye
वृत्तये।
Nivritta Guna Vrittaye
निवृत्त गुण वृत्तये।
Atma Ramaya
आत्मा रामाय
Shantaya
शांताय।
Atma Ramaya Shantaya
आत्मा रामाय शांताय।
Kaivalya
कैवल्य
Pataye
पतये
Namaha
नमः।
Kaivalya Pataye Namaha
कैवल्य पतये नमः।
Namo Akinchana Vittaya
नमो अकिंचन वित्ताय।
Nivritta Guna Vrittaye
निवृत्ता गुण वृत्तये।
Atma Ramaya Shantaya
आत्मा रामाय शांताय।
Kaivalya Pataye Namaha.
कैवल्य पतये नमः।
निवृत्त गुणवृत्तये आत्मा रामाय शांताय पतये नमः।
नमो किंचन वित्ताय निवृत्त गुणवृत्तये आत्मरामाय शांताय कैवल्यपतये नमः।
नमो किंचन वित्ताय
नमो किंचन वित्ताय निवृत्त गुणवृत्तये आत्मा रामाय शांताय कैवल्यपतये नमः।
नमो अकिंचन वित्ताय निवृत्त गुणवृत्तये आत्मा रामाय शांताय कैवल्यपतये नमः।
नमो किंचन वृत्ताय निवृत्त गुणवृत्तये आत्मरामाय शांताय कैवल्यपतये नमः।
नमो किंचन वित्ताय निवृत्त गुणवृत्तये आत्मरामाय शांताय कैवल्यपतये नमः।
Namaha. All obeisances unto you.
All obeisances unto you.
Akinchana Vittaya.
अकिंचन वित्ताय
Unto the property of
unto the property of
the materially impoverished.
the materially impoverished.
Nivritta.
निवृत्ता
Completely transcendental
completely transcendental
to the actions of
to the actions of
the material modes.
the material modes.
Guna.
Guna
Material modes.
material modes.
Vrittaye.
Vrittaye
Affection.
affection.
Atma Ramaya,
Atma Ramaya,
one who is self-satisfied.
one who is self-satisfied.
Shantaya,
Shantaya,
the most gentle.
the most gentle.
Kevalyapataye,
Kevalyapataye,
unto the master of
unto the master of
the monists.
the monists.
Namaha,
Namaha,
bowing down.
bowing down.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Translation. My obeisances are unto you who are the property of the materially impoverished. You have nothing to do with the action and reaction of the material modes of nature. You are self-satisfied, and therefore you are the most gentle and are master of the monists. Kindly repeat the translation. My obeisances are unto you,
My obeisances are unto you,
who are the property
who are the property
of the materially impoverished.
of the materially impoverished.
You have nothing to do
You have nothing to do
with the actions and reactions
with the actions and reactions
of the material modes of nature.
of the material modes of nature.
You are self-satisfied,
You are self-satisfied,
and therefore
and therefore
you are the most gentle
and you are the most gentle
and are master of the monists.
and are master of the monist.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
A living being is finished as soon as there is nothing to possess. Therefore, a living being cannot be, in the real sense of the term, a renouncer. A living being renounces something for getting something more valuable. A student sacrifices his childish proclivities to gain better education. A servant gives up his job for a better job. Similarly, a devotee renounces the material world not for nothing, but for something tangible in spiritual value. Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami and Srila Raghunath Goswami and others gave up their worldly pomp and prosperity for the sake of the service of the Lord. They were big men in the worldly sense. The Goswamis were ministers in the government service of Bengal. And Srila Dasa Goswami was the son of a big jamindar of his time. But they left everything to gain something superior to what they previously possessed. The devotees are generally without material prosperity, but they have a very secret treasure house in the lotus feet of the Lord. There is a nice story about Srila Sanatan Goswami. He had a touchstone with him, and this stone was left in a pile of refuse. A needy man took it, but later on wondered why the valuable stone was kept in such a neglectful place. He therefore asked for the most valuable thing for him, and then he was given the holy name of the Lord. Akinchana means one who has nothing to give materially. A factual devotee or the Mahatma does not give anything material to anyone because he has already left all material assets. He can, however, deliver the supreme asset, namely the personality of Godhead, because he is the only property of a factual devotee. The touchstone of Sanatan Goswami, which was thrown in the rubbish, was not the property of the Goswami. Otherwise, it would not have been kept in such a place. The specific example is given for the neophyte devotees just to convince them that material hankering and spiritual advancement go ill together. Unless one is able to see everything in as spiritual in relation with the Supreme Lord, one must always distinguish between spirit and matter. Spiritual master like Srila Sanatan Goswami, although personally able to see everything as spiritual, set this example for us only because we have no such spiritual vision. Advancement of material vision or material civilization is a great stumbling block for spiritual advancement. Such material advancement entangles the living being in the bondage of a material body, followed by all sorts of material miseries. Such material advancement is called anartha, or things not wanted. Actually, this is so. In the present context of material advancement, one uses lipstick at a cost of 50 cents And there are so many unwanted things which are all products of the material conception of life. By diverting attention to so many unwanted things, human energy is spoiled without achievement of spiritual realization, the prime necessity of human life. The attempt to reach the moon is another example of spoiling energy, because even if the moon is reached, the problem of life will not be solved. The devotees of the Lord are called akinchana because they have practically no material assets. Such material assets are all products of the three modes of material nature. They foil spiritual energy, and thus, the less we possess such products of material nature, the more we have a good chance for spiritual progress. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no direct connection with the material activities. All his acts and deeds, which are exhibited even in this material world, are spiritual and without affection of the modes of material nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that all his acts, even his appearance and disappearance, in and out of the material world, are all transcendental, and one who knows this perfectly shall not take his birth again in this material world, but he will go back to Godhead. The material disease is due to hankering after lording it over material nature. This hankering is due to an interaction of the three modes of nature, and both the Lord and the devotees have no attachment for such false enjoyment. Therefore, the Lord as well as the devotees are called Nivritta Gunavritti. The perfect Nivritta Gunavritti is the Supreme Lord because he never becomes attracted by the modes of material nature, whereas the living beings have such a tendency. Some of them are entrapped by the illusory attraction of material nature. Because the Lord is the property of the devotee and the devotees are the property of the Lord reciprocally, the devotees are certainly transcendental to the modes of material nature. That is the natural conclusion. Such unalloyed devotees are distinct from mixed devotees who approach the Lord for mitigation of miseries and poverty, inquisitiveness and speculation. The unalloyed devotees and the Lord are transcendently attached to one another. For others, the Lord has nothing to reciprocate, and therefore he is called Atmarama, self-satisfied. Self-satisfied as he is the master of all monists who seek to merge into the existence of the Lord. Such monists merge within the personal effulgence of the Lord called the Brahma Jyoti, but the devotees enter into the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, which are never to be misunderstood as material. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So these are some of the very beautiful prayers offered by Kunti Maharani. They're so nice and beautiful prayers. It's like Sadanand Prabhu, he has given for each prayer, at least for whatever he has sent me, a title. Today's title was, can you just read that out? Property of the impoverished. You see? Okay, title is mentioned. Okay, very nice. So devotees have already mentioned different titles. That's very good. So here there are few very important items which are mentioned by Kunti Maharani. This is very important to see that even though Kunti Maharani in material terms is just a woman who is generally considered to be not very intelligent, who can read Vedas, who can try to understand the intricacies of the Vedic literatures, Vedanta, Upanishads. But the kind of understanding and knowledge she has presented is so great that it is there in Bhagavatam. So yesterday we were discussing that Bhagavatam is not an ordinary literature. Bhagavatam is called Amala Purana. It is a spotless Purana. There is nothing material in Bhagavatam. All other Vedic literatures you will find, they have three modes of material nature. Traigunya Vishaya Veda. The subject matter which is discussed in all other Vedic literature is the three modes of material nature. But Srimad Bhagavatam is Amala Puranam. It is completely spotless. There is nothing material. And only when there is nothing material, then the Supreme Lord, He takes birth. Prabhupada says, Vasudeva, he is called, one of the name of the Supreme Lord is Vasudeva, son of Vasudeva. The Supreme Lord enters in the heart of a devotee when his heart has become completely cleansed of material contamination, Shuddha Sattva. Vasudeva platform is also called as Shuddha Sattva, when there is no tinge of materialism. On that platform the Supreme Lord appears. So Bhagavatam is such a literature. That is why there is no difference between the Supreme Lord and Srimad Bhagavatam. Because there is no tinge of materialism. Similarly, if we want that the Lord appears in our life, then we should see to it that slowly we become free from all material contaminations. So these are few of the very important verses where Kunti Maharani is explaining some of the very important factors if you want to possess Krishna, if you want to see Krishna. Like in the last verse we see Kunti Maharani was explaining Janma Aishwarya Shruta Shribhir Edamanah Madha Puman Naiv Arhati Abhidhatum Vai Tvam Akinchana Gocharam. And it's a fact we find in this material world, whatever Kunti Maharani is saying, those who have got a lot of material assets, either in the form of good birth, good wealth, Janma, Aishwarya, good education, and good beauty. Practically they feel God is not for them. They don't require God. They feel God is for the distressed. God is for somebody who wants money. I have money. I am not in distress. I have a lot of material comforts of life. So I don't require God. Why? They become intoxicated. Madaha Puman. When we come to this material world, we are already in illusion. Ahankara is already there. It is because of Ahankara that we come to this material world. And when we become further intoxicated with Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, Shribhi, then our covering becomes very thick. Our attachment to this material world becomes very strong. And then, that is why Kunti Maharani is saying that they cannot approach you. Because you can be approached by someone, Tvam akinchana gochara. You can be approached by someone who has nothing to possess in this material world. But then somebody may say, what kind of person is he? He has nothing to possess in this material world. So in the next verse, Kunti Maharani is saying, he has something to possess, and that is the most valuable asset the devotee has. The Supreme Lord becomes the property of a person who has nothing to possess in this material world. Then we may think, does it mean that all the people who are poverty stricken, God is property of them? No. Prabhupada explains, akinchana does not mean only trying to have physical possession. Prabhupada gives an example. In Calcutta, in Howrah railway station, Prabhupada saw a man carrying half burnt wood. And for him, that is his possession. Even though from others' viewpoint, he does not possess much. But whatever he is possessing, he is still possessing and he is still attached. So, it is not that somebody who has nothing to possess, they can become great devotees of the Lord. And somebody who has wealth, prosperity, they cannot. We have to understand it properly. In actual sense, nothing belongs to us. It is not by renouncing, because when it does not belong to us, where is the question of renouncing it? Prabhupada used to say that somebody is walking in the street and he says, he sees one American bank and he says, from tomorrow I am renouncing this bank. He is a madman. Isn't it? He may say, I am renouncing from tomorrow. I am renouncing this bank. Where was it yours that there is a question of renouncing? It never belonged to you. Similarly, foolishly people are thinking, aham mameti, this body is me, and everything attached to this body is mine. But actually, Ishavasyamidam sarvam, everything actually belongs to God. So it never belongs to us in real sense. So there is no question of renouncing of thing which never belonged to us. What we have to renounce is this mentality that this belongs to me. This is very important. This mentality, it belongs to me. This understanding or misunderstanding that everything belongs to me. This is my family, my nation, my society, my wealth, my house, my children. This is what we have to renounce. So, in today's verse, there are 5 very essential things which are mentioned about Krishna. These are qualities of the Supreme Lord. One is Akinchana vittaya. He is the property of materially impoverished. And as I said, materially impoverished means one who understands that I have nothing to possess in this material world. The Supreme Lord is his property. Second, Prabhupada explains, in the material world, living entities who are engrossed, they may think this is mine, this is his, and they make distinction like this, which is because of the influence of three modes of material nature. So the Supreme Lord does not come to this material world to possess something, or that he has something to gain in this material world. All his activities, his birth, his disappearance from this material world, they're all free from the modes of material nature. We act in this material world because we are influenced by three modes of material nature. We're all hankering, we are lamenting, all because of influence of three modes of material nature. Supreme Lord has nothing to possess in this material world, nothing to do in this material world. So, he and his devotees are called Nivritta Gunavrittaye. So that is why they are called impoverished. They have nothing to possess. They are not affected by anything material. If by the grace of the Lord a devotee is placed in materially comfortable situation, he is not affected. And if by the arrangement of the Lord devotee is placed in terrible situation materially, he is not affected. Nivritta Gunavrittaye. So Nivritta means completely transcendental. Gunavrittaye means to the affection created by the three modes. Mode of goodness creates a kind of affection. We become attached to different things in this material world. Somebody in passion becomes attached to great endeavor. Somebody in the mode of ignorance becomes attached to sleep, irresponsible life, not taking any responsibility, laziness, all because of three modes of material nature, influence of three modes of material nature. The Supreme Lord and devotee, they are without affection to three modes. So affection to kind of life we are living, and we become attached. A stool worm is very attached to the stool. You can try this. You take it out and keep it little away. Prabhupada says it will walk back to the stool. Affection for tamoguna. Drunkard, affection towards drinking. Isn't it? Rajoguna, people working hard. Devotees were telling me that very difficult to make devotees, especially in the Western countries, because they cannot, it's very difficult for them to sit down. They are so rajasic. So actually that can also be utilized in the service of the Lord. Very difficult to engage them because too much fruitive in mentality. Isn't it? So all this affection to the modes of material nature binds us. Sattva guna also binds you. One becomes bound by sense of happiness in this world. I am happy. I have nice house. And he may be very peaceful in that sense. I am very nice. No problem at all. Person in Rajoguna is bound by hard work towards fruitive result. Tamoguna is bound by all this laziness, no responsibility, ignorance. So this is affection to the modes of material nature. Devotees and the Supreme Lord are free from those affections. Third, Atma Ramaya. Supreme Lord has nothing to gain. He's completely satisfied. Prabhupada very nicely mentions in today's purport about this Atma Ramaya. Prabhupada is saying, because the Lord is the property of the devotee and the devotees are the property of the Lord, reciprocally, devotees are certainly transcendental to the modes of material nature. Because the Lord, He is transcendental, and devotee being in touch with the Supreme Lord also becomes transcendental. Fire and anything in touch with fire also gains fiery quality. So devotee automatically becomes transcendental in that sense. That is natural conclusion, Prabhupada is saying. Such unalloyed devotees are distinct from the mixed devotees who approach the Lord for mitigation of misery and poverty, inquisitiveness and speculation. So devotees, they are actually satisfied. They don't approach the Lord for all these things. God, give me my daily bread. They don't approach the Lord for that. I am in distress. Sometimes you'll find people approaching the Lord, praying to the Lord, and my business is down. My son is not able to pass the exam. Give him a job. All these different kinds of material hankering. Artho, Artharthi, Jnani, Jignasu. Correct? All these kind of people approach the Supreme Lord. But a pure devotee of the Lord has nothing like this. So, this is very interesting what Prabhupada is saying. The unalloyed devotees and the Lord are transcendently attached to one another. Their reciprocation is not give and take. In the material world, when people are approaching the Lord, it is that I am surrendering to you, and in response you are asking something in return. So that is actually not pure loving devotional service. Devotees and the Lord are transcendently attached. There is no material reciprocation. Devotee is not asking something material, and the Lord also does not give anything material to the devotee. See, Lord also does not give anything material. So, unalloyed devotees and the Lord are transcendently attached to one another. For others, the Lord has nothing to reciprocate, and therefore He is called Atma Rama, self-satisfied. See, what a great definition. Have you heard about this? The Lord has nothing to reciprocate with others. He is Atma Rama, self-satisfied. I have nothing to reciprocate with karmis. The Lord has nothing to reciprocate with jnanis. But He has loving exchanges with His devotees. And He is called Atma Rama. You see? So, this is very essential to understand. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam state bhajamyaham. I reciprocate. Correct? But why the Lord is saying here, Prabhupada is saying here, the Lord has nothing to reciprocate with non-devotees. Anyone? Yes. Very good, very nice. Great. For the others, the Lord has set certain principles in this material world, law of karma. So if you do good, the Lord has made arrangement, you will get good karma, you will get the good results. The Lord has no personal intervention in that. He does not intervene personally. Somebody has done good, he will get good karma. Somebody has done bad, he will suffer. But for a devotee, the Lord, He is promising, Ma Sucha, don't worry, I will remove your bad karma also. Where it is there for non-devotees. Isn't it? For others, they have to suffer, they have to enjoy whatever they have done. But for the devotee, the Lord is saying, Mam ekam sharanam vraja sarva dharman parityajya aham tvam sarve papebhyo mokshasyami ma sucha. Do not be afraid. I will relieve you from all the papa karma. Brahma Samhita is saying, Yastu indra gopam athavendram aho swakarma bandhanurupa phalabhajanam atanoti karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. Correct? It is saying from Indra Gopa means a small insect. It is called Indra Gopa. And up to the king of heaven, Athavendram, all of them are bound in bandhanurupa phalabhajanam atanoti. Whatever activities they do, they are bound by the result of their fruits. Good work, they will get good. Bad work, if they do, they get papa karma. They suffer. But then further it is saying, karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. Someone who is performing devotional service, all his fruitive reactions are burnt by the power of devotional service. Isn't it? So the Lord reciprocates with the devotees. Prabhupada says that sometimes the Lord is very merciful. Yasyaham anugranami harishye tad dhanam shanaihi. According to his karma, just like Prabhupada says, one of the astrologer told him that he can become like Tata Birla. And Prabhupada says, if you read in the lecture of Prabhupada to the previous verse, Prabhupada said that he became the manager of the Bose company, and there were very good signs his business was improving. And Prabhupada's guru had given him order that you preach Krishna consciousness to the Western country. So Prabhupada thought in a different way. First let me earn money, and with that money I will preach Krishna consciousness. But then Krishna had some other plan. And Prabhupada quotes this verse. He says, I tried everything, but slowly everything was dismantled by the Lord. And Prabhupada is saying, this is a special kripa of the Lord. Yasyaham anugrahnami harishye tad dhanam shanaihi. If I become specially merciful to someone, so then we must be wondering Krishna should not become very merciful to us. Isn't it? But actually, if Krishna becomes our property, then all this property of the material world, you will never feel that you have lost something. Prabhupada says that even though externally speaking, materially speaking, Prabhupada lost all that business and everything, But what Prabhupada gained, you can see today. All over the world, people are chanting the holy name of the Lord. So many temples of Krishna, isn't it? This is the gain. So no one can be a loser. So, Krishna is called Atma Ramaya. He has nothing to reciprocate to the non-devotees. He has loving reciprocation only with his devotees, and he is satisfied with that. That is the meaning of Atma Ramaya. And Prabhupada is saying, therefore, he is the most gentle, Shantaya. So Prabhupada says that. For others, the Lord has nothing to reciprocate, therefore he is Atma Rama, self-satisfied. Self-satisfied as he is. He is the master of the monist who seek to merge into the existence of the Lord. Kevalya Pataye. So, it is not that the monists are independent of the Supreme Lord. He is the master of the monist. He allows them for some time to merge in his effulgence. But after some time, because they fail to respect the devotees of the Lord, they fail to respect the devotional service of the Lord, they fail to respect the lotus feet of the Lord, which are the shelter of the whole existence, they again fall down. Aruhya krichrena param padam patanti adaha anadarat yushmadangrayaha. Because anadarat, they failed to offer respect to the lotus feet of the Lord. So, even though the Lord gives them a chance to become liberated by being merged in the Supreme Lord, but they again fall down to this material world. So, He is always their master. It is not that they have become merged with the Lord and they have become one with the Lord and now I am Lord. No, He is the master of the monist. He still remains. They may think, I have become one. He is always the master of the devotees. Devotees always accept Him as master. That does not mean that the others have become Lord. Just because they are given a chance to merge, the Supreme Lord still remains their master. In illusion they are thinking, I have become one with God. So that is why He is called Kevalya Pataye. Otherwise you may wonder why this verse is saying. Because in illusion these people think they have become master. Now they have become one with God. I am Narayana, He is also Narayana, everyone is Narayana. I was quoting that in Milpitas when I was taking the retreat. Prabhupada quotes, Prabhupada is saying they are so foolish. They say Daridra Narayana and they are cutting goat Narayana to feed Daridra Narayana. They are making distinction. They say we have no distinction. Isn't it? So these are foolish people. So, such an interesting thing Prabhupada is telling. Prabhupada elaborates a lot on akinchana vittaya. It's really very surprising to understand that somebody who can be materially impoverished can have property. Vittaya means property. Somebody who has nothing to possess in this material world, his property is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Here, if you read the purport, you will find something very interesting. Prabhupada begins by saying, a living being is finished as soon as there is nothing to possess. It's very interesting what Prabhupada is saying. Why is Prabhupada saying? Because here it is said, nothing you should possess. Isn't it? Akinchana. Akinchana means nothing you have to possess. Then Krishna will become your property. But Prabhupada is saying, right in the beginning, living entity is finished as soon as he does not have anything to possess. Isn't it? Because akinchana, one has to understand material. If Prabhupada is giving the example, living being is finished as soon as there is nothing to possess. Therefore, a living being has to possess something. That means he cannot be a renouncer in real sense. We are all living entities. This desk is different from being a living entity. It has no affection. It has nothing to possess, nothing to renounce. None of those things are there. But a living being has living symptoms. Living symptoms means I have attachments. I feel something to possess. I feel some things to renounce. All these are living symptoms. So, Prabhupada gives a very wonderful example. He is saying, actually, we cannot be renouncer in the real sense. One renounces something to gain something more valuable. In the material world, this is a phenomenon. One renounces something to gain something higher. Just like in the retreat we had done in the Milpitas when I was doing for 3 days, we had at least 4 to 5 role plays. And none of the team knew which role play they are choosing. And incidentally you'll find we had 4 or 5 groups. At least one of the role play was job layoff. Everyone is worried about the layoff jobs. So the devotees were, saying that how they have to take up the layoff the jobs, that they will get something better. Do not worry. Devotee will think always, what is there, even if I have lost this job, Krishna will provide me something better, some good opportunity. One devotee was giving example that because of the layoff of the job, he started his own venture and it became very successful. So it was the arrangement of the Lord. So devotee should take it properly, isn't it? So looks like this is a big problem here in the Western country. Everyone is afraid of when I may be out of this, when they will tell goodbye. So, Prabhupada is saying, a living entity, a student renounces his childish proclivity to gain better education. Correct? We preach to the children, your future will be bright. And what are you doing? Whole day you are playing. Somehow or other we keep on preaching to them. And they are able to give up that for their better future. Similarly, a servant gives up a job for a better job. So we find people give up one kind of job and then they take up another kind of job. So what Prabhupada is saying is, everybody renounces something only to gain something better. Otherwise, there is no question of renouncing. You get something better than this, you will renounce. Just like, suppose, in the case of, when I was coming from India, 14 hours of flight was there. Even now I am having. Some devotees gave me chips. At least if I don't get anything to eat. So they roasted some chips and some, what do you call that as, flat rice. They slightly roasted it and gave it. So Shuklambara Prabhu provided nice prasadam. Should I hang on to that? No, I brought chips from Hubli. That is in a case where I don't get anything else to eat. But if I am able to get some nice prasadam, hot prasadam, so it is still there. I am saving it so that while going back journey, at least I don't get anything in the flight. I can get something. Because renouncing cannot be done. You can renounce it, something lower, and you can get something better. Isn't it? That is the whole idea. So this point has to be understood, because Prabhupada is saying, devotees are not renouncing the material for nothing. It is not that they are fools. They are renouncing this material world. I don't want material possession. I don't want all these things. No. It is not that they are renouncing it for nothing. They are renouncing, Prabhupada is saying, for something tangible in spiritual life. It is something tangible. Otherwise, so many great examples are there. Raghunath Das Goswami, his income cannot be compared even to today's people's income. That was the kind of income he had. You see, if you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, you can see how they are big jamindars. His father, his uncle, Hiranya Majumdar, they are all having so much of riches. So he was able to renounce all these things, not for something that, so Prabhupada is saying, because something tangible, something valuable, they are able to get. And then Prabhupada is saying, very interesting, devotees are generally without material prosperity, but they have a very secret treasure house in the lotus feet of the Lord. So people may think devotees are impoverished. Devotee renounces, he is not attached to this material wealth. There are two ways we should understand. One is, by grace of Krishna, you may have everything material and you are still not attached to it. And you utilize all that for the service of the Lord. You are still materially impoverished. Like Yudhishthir Maharaj. He had everything. And when time came, he showed he is not attached. When the time came, he just left it. Parikshit Maharaj, it is said about the Pandavas, they just left everything. Their kingdom, their nice facilities in the kingdom, whatever they had. If they were attached, they will get heart attack if you have to leave. It's a fact. Prabhupada gives an example. In the British time, there was one freedom fighter by name C.R. Das. So he was working for British, because that was, they were the ruler in India at that time. They were ruling. So Mahatma Gandhi had made one kind of, he was propagating that if you want freedom from British Empire, you must give up everything British. Their jobs, their education, don't go to their institution. Give up all those things. And Swadeshi, you take whatever you want. So he was also somehow or other forced to give up his job and join Congress, where he will be given some maintenance. So he joined Congress because of a lot of pressure from these people who were, and he was also a freedom fighter. He also wanted India to be freed. So it is said he was getting so much money from because he was a very important man for them. He was not an ordinary person. He was a very important person for them. He was getting so many comforts of life. And then when he joined Congress, he was getting 500 rupees per month. He could not bear this. Could not bear this for a long time. And he passed away. So in the material world, it is very difficult to renounce. But devotees, we can find, just like Parikshit Maharaj. He was the emperor. When he was an emperor, he never thought, this is mine, this is mine. He was always with this conscious understanding. Just like Prabhupada gives an example, a bank clerk may count millions of rupees, but he's not thinking it is mine. Millions of rupees he may count. So devotee, by Krishna's grace, if Krishna has provided him everything, he is thinking, not just thinking, he has this understanding. Not that only thinking, सब भगवान का है, सब भगवान का है तो भगवान के लिए भी लगाओ. Isn't it? People, if you go to people, they will say, नहीं नहीं मेरा क्या है स्वामी जी, सब भगवान का है. But never you will find them utilizing सब भगवान का है तो भगवान के उसमें लगाओ. Everything they will be doing only for me and Mameti. So it is not lip service. In consciousness, in reality, devotee understands, I am a servant in the house. This house belongs to the Supreme Lord. That is the meaning of temple. What is the difference between a house and a temple? This is the difference. In a house, I am thinking I am the proprietor. My family, isn't it? But once you get this understanding that even in my house, I am not the proprietor, I am a servant. Lord has given me this facility, Lord has given this house, but actually it is His house. Lord has given me this good job, He has given me this money, He has given all these assets. Let me utilize everything in the service of the Lord. I have a position in the society. Let me utilize this position to serve Him. So then he is still akinchana. Then he does not have to worry. But in general sense, Prabhupada is saying, because we are neophyte, there is a good chance that the more you want to hanker for material prosperity, the more it will be a blockage in our devotional service. So very interestingly, Prabhupada is pointing this out. Very important to understand. You see, the devotee of the Lord are called akinchana because they have practically no material assets. Such material assets are all product of three modes of material nature. They foil spiritual energy. Thus, the less we possess such products of material nature, the more we have a good chance for spiritual progress. So there is a good chance that the more you possess material assets, and if you do not know yukta vairagya, that actually I should utilize everything in the service of the Lord, then the less we have chance to progress in spiritual life. So devotee similarly always thinks like this, that if there is a good, just like Sadananda Prabhu was telling me, that practically the Lord arranged so many things. Otherwise when he came here, he was just one single devotee. So when we don't have this huge asset, let us say whatever the Lord has given, 8-9 acres of land, so that time also we are able to practice Krishna consciousness. And when the Lord has given, we can still gorgeously practice Krishna consciousness. Devotee is not disturbed in material circumstances. Sometimes good facility may be provided, sometimes it may not be there. Isn't it? So, devotee should always remain akinchana. When good facilities are there, when good facilities are not there, what is important is devotees always want association of devotee. I can lie down somewhere and take rest. I can eat Krishna prasadam, and I can get chance to practice devotional service. That's all I want. So then he still remains akinchana. Because this is very essential qualification. He is akinchana gochara. He can be approached only by akinchana. If you have even tinge of material desire, Krishna will send you back. Fulfill your desire. Finish off your desire. Then you come back to me. So until and unless we become akinchana, very difficult to see Krishna. So next Prabhupada gives that example, and I think with that we will stop. Prabhupada gives a wonderful example how a devotee's real asset is the lotus feet of the Lord. It is his spiritual asset. He has nothing material to possess. So once a devotee of Lord Shiva, one Brahmana, he worshipped Lord Shiva and he pleased him. And in turn, he wanted something very valuable from the Lord. So Lord Shiva told him that if you want something very valuable, please go to Vrindavan. There is a great devotee by name Sanatan Goswami. You go and ask him, and he will give you your desired result, whatever you want. So this Brahmana went. Sanatana Goswami was there inside his small hut, and he knew that this person is too materially attached and what he wants. So when he asked him, and he said that I am sent by Lord Shiva to get something very valuable from you, please give me that something which is very valuable. So he said, okay, you go to that corner. You see that corner, you see that dustbin? You can get your valuable thing in that dustbin. So he went eagerly, found out one touchstone, and he was very happy. My God, I got this touchstone. And anything I touch, it becomes gold. What else do I need? So he was walking away happily. But one thought came to his mind. Looks like something more valuable Sanatan Goswami is having, which he has not given me. Because if this was the most valuable thing, he would not keep it in dustbin. Nobody will keep valuable thing in the dustbin. Anyone is keeping? Any one of you are keeping your gold jewelries, diamond rings? Then the dustbin you can give me. Isn't it? Then municipal corporation people would have become the most wealthiest people if people keep their wealth in dustbin. No one keeps. Isn't it? So this thought struck him that looks like he has not given me the most valuable thing. So he went and asked him that, my dear sir, I don't think you have given me the most valuable thing. Because if this was the most valuable thing, why would you keep it in dustbin? So please give me something more valuable, which you have. So then Sanatana understood that now at least he has come little to his senses. He understands there is something more valuable than this. So Sanatana Goswami advised him, okay, you do one thing. Throw this stone in Yamuna river and then come back. So this person threw the stone in Yamuna river and he came back. And then Sanatana Goswami initiated him, gave him the holy name. And you will be surprised to understand Vedic literatures, they say Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. You see? The holy name of the Lord, actually it is Chintamani. It is a touchstone. So that material touchstone had no value. Holy name of the Lord is real touchstone. Because it can deliver Krishna Prema. What that material touchstone will deliver. Isn't it? So he got the real wealth. So Prabhupada is explaining very nicely both the things. One is, when one understands I have nothing material to possess, Krishna becomes his only property. And for a pure devotee like Sanatan Goswami, he has nothing material to give. Pure devotees of the Lord have nothing material to give. And that's why they keep it in dustbin, because that is not real. It's all what is there. Isn't it? Because they have nothing material to give. So this is the understanding. This is the meaning of akinchana. Akinchana means one who has nothing material to give. So we should be having this understanding. But very important lesson Prabhupada is giving from this incident for neophyte. For Sanatan Goswami, absolutely there is no difference between touchstone and anything spiritual. He sees everything spiritual. But for us to make a understanding for the neophyte, till we come to the level of Paramahamsa, where we can see everything as spiritual, we should make a distinction. We should be asking, not that I ask my temple president, I have no material distinction. Give me BMW car. From tomorrow I want to go in BMW car. Give me a big laptop, very nice laptop. Otherwise, it's all utilized for Krishna's service. Isn't it? In our neophyte stage, until we have maturity, the less we possess, the better it is. I'm not saying this. You may be thinking, because I'm temple president somewhere, I may be saying this. Prabhupada is saying, in the purport he is saying, I'll read this, very interesting. See? Okay. The specific example is given for the neophyte devotees just to convince them that material hankering and spiritual advancement go ill together. Unless one is able to see everything as spiritual in relation with the Supreme Lord, one must always distinguish between spirit and matter. We must distinguish that the more I possess all these material facilities, the more I will become attached to them. More I will become attached to them. Instead of becoming attached to Krishna, I will become attached to these facilities. So for neophyte, he has to make a distinction. And that is why Sanatan Goswami made distinction. He had to put it in dustbin to show it has no value. So do we think like this? That all these material assets, material possession, I may have all these things, but actually it has no value. Its value is like dustbin, materially. But spiritually, yes, everything is connected to Krishna. Nirbandhe Krishna sambandhe yukta vairagyam uchyate. Because everything is connected to Krishna. And important thing Rupa Goswami is saying, anasaktasya vishayan. You don't get attached. Yatharam upayunjata. Utilize as much it is required. If you do not have maturity that you can handle more and more material opulence and comforts of life, better remain simple. Because there is a tendency we will become attached to all of them, whereas we have to remain unattached. So, spiritual master like Srila Sanatan Goswami, although personally able to see everything as spiritual, set this example for us only because we have no such spiritual vision. That's why Prabhupada is saying, they foil spiritual energy. The less we possess such products of material nature, the more we have a good chance for spiritual progress. Okay, so we'll stop with this Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada.